turn this phenomena into a tragedy, but not a disaster. And I really hope we can make that happen tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hinman. It really has been difficult for all of us, and we have been trying our best to do what we can. Our next speaker is Dr. Snehal Shingavi. Please come up to the stage. He's assistant professor at UT and fellow of Irish Howard Regents Professor in English Literature. Please welcome him.
So I too have been watching all the images and have been horrified and scared and angry seeing this happen. I have the dubious distinction of being the one faculty member who was involved in the relief efforts for Haiti when the earthquake in Haiti happened, flood relief in Pakistan when the major flood disaster happened a few years ago, and now watching this happen. It's sort of extraordinary to see the kinds of human suffering that can happen in the world. But as a consequence of being involved in those actions, I've also seen the extraordinary outpouring of support and solidarity and community in order to help these communities survive. So I want to do two things here. The students asked me to talk about how we maintain our vigilance when the media stops paying attention to what's going on in Nepal. So I want to give you both a message of concern because we've learned some lessons based on what happened in Haiti and Pakistan that you should know, and then a message of hope because they're taking that knowledge, you should go forward and think about what it is that you can do in terms of what is happening. There's an economic theorist, political theorist named Naomi Klein, and she talks about what happened in Haiti in this way. She says that what happened was disaster capitalism, that people who wanted to take advantage of a tragedy, and some of the worst tragedies that happened in Haiti, were able to empty out entire neighborhoods, redevelop them for themselves, and make sure that the poor were the ones that were suffering and the rich were the ones that did well. Because the thing that we learned in Haiti is that earthquakes are eminently survivable. The houses of the rich were perfectly fine. It was the poor who were living in some of the most vulnerable areas who did the worst. And the real estate market was happy to buy up those houses and do what it wanted with them. The NGOs were unable to do anything to push back against that sort of land grab. The same thing happened in Pakistan when the dams and barrages broke during the flood. It was the poor who were the ones living next to the dikes who suffered the most, and the rich came in and grabbed their land once the waters had receded. This is a story that we've seen in place after place, and the reason to remain vigilant is Professor Heinemann is absolutely right. This has the potential of becoming an even worse disaster if the social conditions in Nepal allow this sort of suffering to continue and allow what we've seen happen in other places to happen in Nepal as well. So the reason to pay attention here is because the process of this becoming a tragedy or becoming a disaster, becoming something that will be a reason for us to be hopeful, depends on everybody caring about what happens in Nepal for at least another year. Reasons why people are suffering right now have to do with the lack of infrastructure, the lack of available medical care, the lack of decent running water, the lack of electricity, not to mention what was taking place in the villages where none of that is actually real for most people. So I think that there are real reasons why people need to get involved in some kind of an organization that is paying attention to what is happening, because disasters are awful for people who are poor. The rich have found a way to make them immense opportunities for themselves, and we should be really vigilant about what is happening. But the reason to be incredibly hopeful is that in each of these instances, and if you are old enough to remember what happened after Hurricane Katrina, there was an enormous outpouring of solidarity and support and a willingness to want to do something. Our job is to take that willingness to do something and organize it in the most thoughtful and important and durable way that we can, so that meaningful assistance is given to Nepal, that real solutions are provided to this social tragedy, and that we can come away from this with a Nepal that is able to withstand earthquakes, because earthquakes should not kill. We have now, many of you are engineers, and will know the engineering that will allow us to prevent this sort of disaster from happening, from houses to collapse and roads to not withstand this sort of attack, this sort of event. They should not happen, but they do happen because we we are not vigilant about the kinds of societies that we are watching all around us. So I want to encourage you to get involved in some way, but I also really want to encourage you to stay vigilant, because the earthquake is not the only story that's going to happen. It's going to be a story of an immense social transformation in Nepal, and it could be for the better if we do our work. It can also be very much for the worse if we do not do our work. And that's the reason why coming out here to be in solidarity and to pay witness to what happened in Nepal is incredibly important, but it's going to be incredibly important to commit yourself to a longer process of paying attention and being involved in what is going on in Nepal. Thank you very much.